Cadet Zilax's laughter died mid-breath when the simulation target caught the plasma round barehanded and asked if anyone checked the safety settings. The combat arena fell silent except for the hum of charging weapon systems. 47 cadets from across the Galactic Military Academy froze in their tactical positions, optical sensors and sensory organs locked on the impossible scene unfolding in the designated kill zone. Emma Johnson stood in the center of the arena, boots planted shoulder-width apart, examining the plasma round in her palm like someone inspecting a slightly overripe tomato. "Seriously, guys? This thing's running way too hot. Someone could get hurt." From the observation deck, Commander Kael'thas felt his primary and secondary hearts skip synchronized beats. His claws scraped across the control console as he leaned forward, mandibles clicking in distress. "Get her out of there! Emergency extraction now." According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Sir, the simulation is locked," his aide stammered. "Full combat protocols engaged. We can't override without—" "I don't care about protocols," Kael'thas roared. "There's a human in the kill zone." Down in the arena, Zilax found his voice, though it emerged as more of a wheeze than his usual confident bellow. "Instructor Johnson, you need to— that is, you're standing in." His translator struggled to convey the appropriate level of urgency. "You're going to die!" Emma looked up, her expression shifting from concern to confused. "What? Oh, is this still part of the drill?" She glanced around the arena, taking in the automated turrets, gravity well generators, and atmospheric processors designed to create a nightmarish combat environment. "Huh, I thought we were on break. Where'd my coffee go?" The plasma round in her hand began pulsing, its internal charge building toward critical detonation. Standard military doctrine called for immediate evacuation at a radius of 40 meters. Emma was holding it. "Drop it!" Vexia shrieked from behind a barrier rated to withstand starship-grade munitions. "Drop it now!" Emma looked at the pulsing energy weapon, then back at the cadets. "This? Oh, sure." She tossed it casually over her shoulder. The round detonated against the far wall, scorching reinforced durasteel and sending a shockwave that rattled protective barriers across the arena. Emma didn't even flinch. "See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Sloppy weapons maintenance. Back at Camp Lejeune, we'd have someone's ass for leaving a round charged like that." Zilax, who had spent his entire life training in the warrior traditions of the Karathi people, who had bested opponents twice his size in ritual combat, who had scored highest in his class on every tactical assessment, felt something fundamental crack in his understanding of the universe. She caught it," he whispered. "That's not possible." The arena's automated defense system, registering unauthorized personnel in the combat zone, initiated Phase 2 protocols. Turrets swiveled from their housing units, targeting lasers painting Emma's vital areas with lethal precision. Gravity wells activated, creating crushing pressure zones that could pulverize reinforced armor. Atmospheric processors began pumping in a toxic mixture that would incapacitate most species within seconds. Emma wrinkled her nose. "Okay, it's getting a bit stuffy in here. Hey, who designed this ventilation system? Because we need to have words." She started walking toward the cadet positions, strolling through crossfire that could cut through starship hulls. Energy bolts splashed against her uniform, leaving scorch marks on the fabric but apparently doing nothing to slow her pace. "Cadet Zilax, your stance is terrible," she called out, her voice somehow carrying over the weapon's fire. "You're putting all your weight on your back foot. First real opponent you face is going to sweep you before you can blink." Zilax stared at her, his warrior pride warring with the evidence before his eyes. "Instructor, with respect, there are 14 turrets currently trying to kill you." 16, actually, Emma corrected, ducking under a plasma stream without looking at it. "You missed the 2 suppression units on the upper catwalks. That's your problem right there, situational awareness. You can't just focus on the obvious threats." She reached one of the active turrets and casually yanked its power coupling free. The weapon died with a sad whine. See, half these systems are overcompensating, like that gravity well behind you, completely unnecessary. She walked through the gravity well that was currently generating enough force to compress titanium into powder. Her boots made small cracks in the reinforced floor from the pressure, but she moved like someone taking a casual Sunday walk. "You're tensing up too much," she continued, disabling another turret. "Combat's supposed to be fluid. Yeah, it's dangerous, but if you freeze up thinking about what could go wrong, you're already dead." From the observation deck, Kael'thas was frantically accessing the Academy's communication network. "Get me Galactic Military High Command, Priority Alpha 1. Yes, I know what time it is. We have a situation." The holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Jataro's distinctly unamused face. "Commander, this had better be worth interrupting the Strategic Defense Committee meeting." "Sir, we have a human in our primary combat simulation," Kael'thas said, his words tumbling over each other. "The Crucible, full lethal protocols." Jataro's expression shifted from annoyed to horrified. "Evacuate immediately. Shut down all—" "Wait, did you say human?" "We don't have any humans assigned to—" He paused, his secondary eyes widening. "Oh no! Please don't tell me you activated Johnson." "You know about her?" "Know about her?" "Commander, we've been trying to figure out how to handle her for the past 2 standard months." Jataro pulled up a file on his display. There was a translation error in her hiring credentials. The recruitment algorithm parsed United States Marine Corps as United States Maritime Corporation. We thought we were hiring an aquatic life specialist. Down in the arena, Emma had disabled half the turrets and was now critiquing Vexia's cover technique. "You're making yourself too small. I get that you want to minimize your profile, but you've got no mobility from that position. If someone flanks you, which they will, you're stuck." Vexia, who had survived combat scenarios that killed 3/4 of her graduating class, felt tears forming in her ocular ducts. "Instructor Johnson, how are you alive right now?" Emma laughed, that easy human sound that always seemed inappropriate in military contexts. "Alive? This is barely exercise. You should see what we did for morning PT back at basic." She checked her watch. "Actually, we're running behind schedule. You cadets need to finish this drill." "Finish it?" Zilax couldn't believe what he was hearing. "The Crucible has a 0% survival rate without Class 5 combat armor." "Well, yeah, if you just stand there and let it shoot you," Emma said reasonably. She reached the primary control cluster and started examining the systems. "The problem is, you're treating this like something happening to you instead of something you're participating in. Combat's a conversation, violent, sure, but there's a flow to it." She made an adjustment to one of the panels. 3 more turrets powered down. "See, these systems are predictable. They're running pre-programmed patterns. In real combat, you've got thinking opponents who adapt. This is actually easier." Kael'thas's voice crackled over the arena speakers, strained with panic. "Instructor Johnson, please exit the combat zone immediately. This is not a safe environment." "Oh, hey, Commander!" Emma waved at one of the observation cameras. "Sorry, I thought this was still part of the demonstration. Your cadets are doing good, by the way. Solid tactical thinking. Just need to work on execution." She paused. "Also, whoever programmed these turrets needs to review their firing solutions. The dispersal pattern is way too tight. Real combat's messier." "The turrets are firing at military-grade specifications," Kael'thas protested. "Huh. Well, that explains why nobody's hitting anything important." Emma ducked as a plasma bolt seared past her ear. "See, back in Fallujah, we had to deal with actual combatants who knew how to lead their targets." In the observation deck, Kael'thas pulled up Emma's personnel file with shaking claws. The document loaded, page after page of what the Academy had assumed were aquatic safety certifications. Now, with properly calibrated translation protocols, the text resolved into something completely different. Combat deployments, marksmanship qualifications, advanced tactical training, hand-to-hand combat instructor certification, survival, evasion, resistance, escape specialist. Oh, ancestors, he breathed. She's not a safety instructor. She's a combat veteran. Admiral Jataro's voice came through the comm, grim. Commander, we need you to understand what you're dealing with. We've been analyzing Earth military doctrine for the past month, trying to figure out how to properly classify human combat personnel. And there is no proper classification. Their baseline physical capabilities exceed our enhanced soldier programs. What they consider standard training would be classified as extreme hazard conditioning in any other military force. They achieve combat readiness in less than a standard year, a process that takes most species 4 decades. Down in the arena, Emma had apparently gotten bored with disabling turrets and was now demonstrating proper combat movement to the cadets. She flowed between obstacles with casual efficiency, occasionally stopping to correct someone's form. Cadet Vexia, you're doing better, but watch your breathing. You're holding your breath when you move. That'll kill your endurance. Emma demonstrated, her respiration steady and controlled, even as she navigated through what remained of the active hazard zones. In through the nose, out through the mouth, oxygen management is half of combat effectiveness. Zilax, unable to stop himself, called out, Instructor, how did humans develop these capabilities? What enhancement programs do you use? Emma looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Enhancement programs? We don't… Oh, you mean like training? She shrugged. We just do it. I mean, Earth's kind of a hostile environment. You adapt or you don't make it. Define hostile, Vexia asked weakly. Well, there's the weather. Temperature swings of like 50, 60 degrees depending on where you are. Predators, though, most of the big ones leave you alone if you're smart about it. Diseases, natural disasters, other humans. Emma ticked off items on her fingers like she was listing grocery items. Most of it's manageable if you pay attention. The atmospheric processor chose in that moment to release a concentrated burst of neurotoxin, a compound specifically designed to bypass most species' natural immunities. Emma coughed once, waved her hand in front of her face. Ugh, what is that? Smells like a chemical plant. You guys need better air filters. Kael'thas was receiving real-time biometric data from the arena sensors. She just inhaled enough neurotoxin to kill a Karathi battle champion. Is she showing any symptoms? Jataro demanded. She complained about the smell. A long silence filled the comm channel, then Jataro's voice, very quiet. Of course she did. Emma had reached the final active turret, the arena's primary suppression weapon. It was a nasty piece of hardware, capable of tracking and eliminating multiple targets simultaneously with a fire rate that could turn most organic matter into vapor in seconds. She studied it for a moment, then did something that made every observer's equivalent of blood run cold. She stuck her hand into the firing mechanism while it was active. No, there's your problem right there, she muttered, her arm elbow-deep in a weapons system that was currently trying very hard to shoot her. The targeting servos misaligned. That's why it keeps missing, well, relatively speaking. She made an adjustment, pulled her hand out, and the turret immediately fired a perfect pattern into a test target. See? Just needed calibration. Zilax felt his warrior ancestors weeping in the great beyond. She just casually fixed the murder machine. While it was trying to murder her, Vexia added numbly. Emma turned to face the cadets, brushing dust off her uniform. Okay, so here's the thing. This drill is designed to test your ability to handle multiple simultaneous threats. Yeah, but you're all treating each hazard as separate problem. Real combat doesn't work like that. Everything's connected. She gestured around the arena. The turrets are covering the obvious approach routes, which means they're creating dead zones. The gravity wells are stationary, so they're more of a navigational concern than an actual threat. The atmospheric processing is on a cycle. You can hear the pumps engaging about 5 seconds before each release. None of this is actually that dangerous if you're paying attention and thinking dynamically. Not that dangerous, Zilax's voice cracked. Instructor, this drill has killed 17 cadets in the past decade. Emma's expression shifted, humor draining away. Wait, killed? Like actually killed? With weapons that were actually trying to kill them? Yes. That's the entire point of the Crucible. It's the most dangerous combat simulation in the Galactic Military Academy. Emma looked around the arena, then back at the cadets, then at the observation deck where Kael'thas was watching with growing dread. Oh no, you guys thought this was... She started laughing, that slightly hysterical edge that humans got when they realized something had gone terribly wrong. You thought this was advanced training? It is advanced training, Vexia protested. No, sweetie, this is like basic obstacle course stuff. This is what we'd give to recruits in their first month to build confidence. Emma ran a hand through her hair. Okay, we need to have a serious conversation about training protocols because if this is your idea of advanced combat preparation, we've got some fundamental philosophical differences to work out. Kael'thas's voice came over the speakers, carefully controlled. Instructor Johnson, what would you classify as advanced human combat training? Emma thought about it. Well, at advanced levels, you're dealing with live ammunition, adaptive opponents who are actively trying to kill you, environmental hazards that you can't predict or control, and mission parameters that change in real time based on enemy response. Plus, you're usually carrying about 60 pounds of gear and operating on minimal sleep because that's more realistic to actual combat conditions. The observation deck had gone very, very quiet. And you train your soldiers like this? Kael'thas asked. Well, not the very beginning soldiers, Emma clarified. You work up to it. Start with basic marksmanship, physical conditioning, tactical theory, then you add complexity as they develop competency. The really intense stuff comes later. SEER training, advanced reconnaissance, special operations qualifications. That's where it gets serious. Admiral Jataro's voice cut in. Instructor Johnson, what age are human soldiers when they begin this training? Military entrance age is 18, usually. Some people join at 17 with parental consent. Emma paused. Why? Another long silence. Then Jataro, sounding like he'd aged several decades in the past few minutes. Most galactic species don't consider individuals combat ready until they've had 40 to 60 years of conditioning and development. 40. What? Emma blinked. What do you do with them for 40 years? Physical development, psychological preparation, tactical education, weapons familiarization, survival training. We do all that in like 4 months for basic infantry, 6 to 8 months for specialized roles. The comm channel filled with what might have been the sound of Admiral Jataro sitting down very suddenly. Zilax, who had been silent for the past several minutes while his entire worldview crumbled, finally found his voice. Instructor Johnson, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Sure, kid, shoot. What happens when humans actually try to win? Emma's expression turned serious, that flat combat veteran look that humans got when they were remembering things they'd rather forget. Usually something regrettable for everybody involved. Humans are really good at 2 things, adapting to survive and learning from mistakes. The problem is we're also really good at not giving up even when we probably should. She met Zilax's eyes. We evolved chasing prey until it died of exhaustion. Persistence is kind of our thing, so when we commit to winning... She trailed off, shaking her head. Let's just say there's a reason we try real hard to settle things diplomatically first. Vexia raised a tentative appendage. Instructor, you mentioned earlier that this environment is similar to your planet's conditions. Could you elaborate? Oh, Earth? Yeah, I mean, we've got pretty much every biome you can imagine, most of them trying to kill you in different creative ways. Deserts where the temperature'll cook you during the day and freeze you at night. Jungles with more venomous species than you can count. Arctic regions where you'll die of exposure in minutes without proper gear. Ocean zones where the pressure alone would crush most structures. Emma shrugged. And that's not even getting into the weather. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Earth's kind of active, geologically speaking. And humans thrive there, Kael'thas said quietly. Thrive is maybe a strong word. We survive and adapt, same thing we've always done. Emma checked her watch. Speaking of which, we're definitely behind schedule now. Commander, should I reset the crucible for the next group, or are we done for the day? The next group? Kael'thas felt faint. You're supposed to instruct the beginner cadets next. Right, yeah, should be easier. Just basic qualification runs for the ones who haven't certified for live drills yet. Xilax and Vexia exchanged horrified glances. Commander, Xilax said urgently, we should warn them. Would you have believed us? Kael'thas replied wearily. Over the next hour, while Emma prepared for her next class, Kael'thas filed his report to Galactic High Command. The document grew longer with each passing minute as he tried to adequately convey what he'd witnessed. Admiral Jitaro had pulled in analysis from the Xenobiology Corps, Strategic Assessment Division, and Historical Warfare Department. The findings were terrifying. Human baseline capabilities exceeded enhanced soldier programs across multiple metrics. Their pain tolerance suggested either extreme psychological conditioning or fundamentally different neurological processing. Their adaptability in combat situations indicated evolutionary pressure from an environment that was actively hostile to survival. And their casual approach to lethal scenarios suggested a species-wide comfort with violence that most civilizations spent millennia trying to overcome. We need new protocols, Jitaro said finally. Immediate implementation across all human integrated units. What kind of protocols? Kael'thas asked. Warning systems, primarily. When a human describes something as easy, assume it's lethal to most other species. When a human describes something as challenging, evacuate the area. When a human describes something as dangerous, contact your superior officers and update your last will and testament. Down in the arena, Emma was greeting the next group of cadets with a bright smile. All right, everyone, welcome! Today we're starting easy, just basic obstacle coursework to assess your current fitness levels and movement capabilities. In the observation deck, Xilax watched the terrified new cadets with something approaching sympathy. He'd survived the crucible. These poor souls were about to experience human basic training. Should we really just let this happen? Vexia asked quietly. Academy regulations state that we can't interfere with instructor-led training sessions without evidence of immediate danger, Kael'thas replied, his voice hollow. But she's human. Her definition of immediate danger is probably... A distant explosion echoed through the facility as Emma activated what she'd cheerfully described as a simple warm-up course. The observation deck's threat assessment screens immediately lit up like a festival display. Xilax updated his personal log, Day 47 at Galactic Military Academy. Survived the crucible. Instructor is human. Request transfer to Human Combat Methodology Program. If I'm going to be shown up this badly, I might as well learn from them. Vexia was writing something similar, though her entry focused more on human endurance training and whether her species' biology could adapt to it. Probably not, she concluded, but she was going to try anyway. In the arena, Emma was watching her new students navigate the course with the critical eye of someone who'd spent years evaluating combat performance. Good effort, she called out encouragingly. You're doing great for your first day. Just remember to keep moving. Momentum is your friend. One of the cadets, a small bipedal species called a Rixian, managed to gasp out, Instructor, is it supposed to be on fire? The fire's part of it, yeah, Emma confirmed. Teaches you to stay aware of your environment. Don't worry, the burns are mostly superficial as long as you keep moving. Kael'thas added another line to his report. Human instructors measure difficulty on a fundamentally different scale than the rest of galactic civilization. Recommend mandatory safety oversight for all human-led training exercises. Admiral Jotaro read the report, then read it again, then poured himself a drink from his emergency supply, the one he kept for news of system-wide catastrophes. We need to inform the Galactic Council. This changes everything. Everything, sir? Combat doctrine, military recruitment standards, training facility classifications, insurance policies for mixed species units. Jotaro took a long drink. We built our entire military philosophy on the assumption that there were fundamental limits to what organic beings could achieve without technological enhancement. Humans just casually ignore those limits while complaining about the coffee. Back in the academy, Emma had finally located a replacement coffee cup, her original having been vaporized by plasma fire during the Crucible incident. She sipped it contentedly while reviewing cadet performance scores on her data pad. Not bad for a first week, she muttered to herself. Back at Paris Island, this wouldn't even count as warm-up, but they're trying hard, and that counts for something. She pulled up the schedule for the following week. Oh, good, we're doing endurance training. That'll be fun. Maybe I can finally get them to understand that pain is just information, and you can learn to process it better. Her musings were interrupted by an urgent message from Commander Kael'thas. Instructor Johnson, please review attached document regarding new Academy safety protocols, specifically the sections pertaining to human-led instruction. Emma opened the file. It was 47 pages long. She scrolled through, her eyebrows climbing higher with each paragraph. Warning: human instructors may underestimate hazard levels due to species-specific durability advantages. Mandatory medical oversight required for any training exercise described by human personnel as challenging or intense. Emergency evacuation protocols must be established before human-designed combat scenarios commence. She laughed, shaking her head. They think I'm dangerous. That's adorable. She typed out a quick response. Acknowledged, Commander. Will moderate intensity for next week's training. EJ. In his office, Kael'thas read her reply and felt his stomach drop. She's going to moderate intensity, he said aloud to his empty office. That means she was planning something worse. He added an addendum to his report. Human concept of moderation requires further study. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Military Academy implemented sweeping changes to its training program. The Crucible was reclassified from lethal advanced training to human baseline assessment. New difficulty tiers were established, calibrated against human performance metrics. Specialized medical teams were assigned to monitor any exercise Emma Johnson designed. And enrollment applications tripled. Because word had gotten out across the galaxy, there was an academy where you could train like humans did. It was brutal, it was terrifying, and it fundamentally changed how you understood combat. But graduates were surviving scenarios that would have killed them before. They were thinking differently, moving differently, fighting differently. Xelax completed his first human methodology certification and immediately requested advanced training. Vexia finished her first full human standard endurance course, modified for her species' biological limitations, and promptly collapsed for 18 hours. When she woke up, she requested the next level. Emma, for her part, continued teaching with cheerful enthusiasm, completely unaware that she'd become the most feared and respected instructor in galactic military history. She just knew her students were improving, and that made her happy. On Friday afternoon, she wrapped up her final class of the week and headed to the staff lounge. Commander Kael'thas was there, reviewing the week's incident reports with the expression of someone who'd seen too much. "Hey, Commander," Emma greeted him, grabbing a fresh cup of coffee. "Good week?" Kael'thas looked at her, this small human who'd accidentally revolutionized galactic military training, who treated lethal combat scenarios like morning exercise, who genuinely cared about her students' development while simultaneously traumatizing them. "It was educational," he said finally. Emma grinned. "That's what I like to hear. Same time next week? Assuming we all survive until then, Kael'thas muttered. Emma laughed, that warm human sound that somehow made everything seem less dire. You'll be fine, Commander. Just remember to stay hydrated and keep breathing. Everything else is just details. She left the lounge humming an old Marine cadence, already planning Monday's lesson on tactical improvisation. Behind her, Kael'thas updated his personal log one final time. Note to self, humans don't have a concept of easy. Adjust all future expectations accordingly. Also, increase emergency medical staff, and maybe pray to whatever deities will listen. He paused, then added, Despite everything, Cadet performance has improved 47%. Humanity is terrifying, but they make excellent teachers. Proceed with caution and absolute respect. In the distance, Emma's voice echoed through the training facility. All right, next week, who's ready to learn about what we call fun runs back home? The collective groan from the cadet dormitories could be heard across 3 decks. Human military doctrine had arrived at the Galactic Military Academy, and nothing would ever be the same.